Hi Jags fans, it's Andy the Mackem Jag. Today's vlog following my visit to Firhill yesterday for the game against Queen of the South. I'm actually not quite sure where to start today. I certainly travelled to the ground with, probably like most fans, with a great deal of optimism. We had a fantastic result the previous week at Inverness, a team that hadn't lost at home, and you know it was a fairly comprehensive victory by the end. And I think we all arrived with the expectation that the new reign of Ian McCall and Neil Scally and Alan Archibald would bring some sort of instant home dividend. And then you look at the paper this morning, or you look online, and you say our home record: wins none, draws none, defeats 4. So in that respect, nothing's really changed. And I did make a comment online last week about one swallow a summer doth not make. And that's certainly proved to be the case. It was a very disappointing result. I'm sure it's not the way Ian McCall wished to start his home reign. And it was the best part of 3,000 probably fairly dejected fans that left the ground at the end. Pretty poor following from Queen of the South. A bit disappointing, but in my view the better team over the 90 minutes won the game. I'm not going to cower away from that and hide behind the reality of losing the game. What went wrong? Well, certainly first half we were up against a team that looked considerably hungrier. They had a well thought out plan on how they were going to play. They made sure that there was always 2-on-1, and we made sure there was nobody everywhere near them at any stage to support them. I mean, perhaps if we'd played Jamie Penrice it would have been a bit different. I didn't think Robson had a bad game, but I've still got a preference for Jamie Penrice, to be honest. I think he's a better supporting player for Zanata, but it's the way it is. So he was pretty much sussed out and snuffed out for most of the game, being perfectly honest. And when he threw himself down to try and get a penalty, frankly should have been booked. It wasn't a penalty, it was a dive, and he needs to get that out of his game. He's a great player, he's got great dribbling skills, he will get goals, but he doesn't have to cheat for it. First half, as I say, they had a plan, it worked. We were quite fortunate not to be behind. The save from Scott Fox was, well, outstanding would be to do it an injustice. It was one of the best saves you'll see in a long time. Absolutely superb save, so well done Scott Fox. Didn't really put a foot wrong all game, handled the game well. Second half was a much better performance, but it's what I call crab football. Crab sort of drift side to side without really going forward at any great pace. And that's the way it felt, even second half. You know, we can't always play to the wingmen, although in fairness I thought Ryan Williamson, in terms of crossing the ball, had quite a good second half. He put some very tasty crosses in, but who to? We haven't really got that sort of Jordan White figure that Inverness have, for example. You know, a big, tall, powerful striker who's going to get on the end of stuff. We just don't have that. Kenny Miller has a prodigious leap, but up against big guys, which quite often defenders are in this league, he's not going to get that much joy. And on the point of Kenny Miller, where's he meant to be playing? I keep asking this week in, week out, where is his position? To me, he should be up front. When he was up front yesterday, he looked isolated. There was no support. Midfielders didn't break with any great panache or speed. And frankly, he appears to be our only striker. Most of the time he seems to be sort of, maybe he's in an under 10 position or even further back, trying to make things happen. If that's what Ian McCall's asked him to do, Ian, I think that's a mistake. I think Kenny Miller is the only really recognised experienced striker we have. He's got to play up front. If you're not going to play him up front, I really don't see the point of him. Stick him in midfield, but I think we've got enough players in midfield. I thought Banzo had a good game. He was busy, but again, a lot of his distribution, he wasn't up for the forward pass. It was side to side. And at times it was just so slow that there just wasn't the urgency. We certainly didn't play much of a pressing game until it was too late. And why wasn't Reece Cole playing the 90? He really looked creative, and I lost count of the number of times that Jags players were in positions to have a pop at goal 20-25 yards, and we didn't. We're still looking for this out ball to the wings. Some things are just not changing at our club. And as I've said, unless that ball comes back into a big fella who's going to put it in the back of the net, it really seems to be a bit of a pointless tactic. So for all the great work at Inverness, I don't feel all that's gone away yet. and you know we've got a bit of time to get ready for the next game. But all in all, it was a bad day at the office. As I say, I thought Reece Cole played well. Banzo had a good game. Shea Gordon, not at his best. Kenny Miller fluffed a few opportunities which I would have expected better from. The defensive unit, sound asleep for the goal. You know, it's a real problem we've got. Jordan White basically could bully his way to a goal last week. And then, you know, anytime there's big fellas in the box, I always worry. I really do worry on crosses. We just haven't got that sorted. And it's something we're going to have to do desperately soon. I think the plus point is that the league looks as if it's in a complete and utter mess. You know, Ayr United, Dundee United both lost. Cali got back to winning ways. Dundee begin to perhaps get a bit of impetus about them. Nobody seems to be taking the league by the scruff of the neck in the way that Ross County did last season. You know, they were sort of permanently top two. Lawrence Shankland may well be getting his head turned a little bit. Scottish call-ups, you know, talk about Rangers and Celtic. And that may well be affecting his game. I just hope it is. And if he's away from them in January, if he is bought and not loaned back, then Dundee United are going to have serious problems because they haven't got the out-and-out striker they need. So the league's still there. Come on, Jacks, it's still there. Ian, Alan, Neil, it's there to be grabbed. But I just feel that with the players we've got, we're going to struggle to grab that. And one of the things talked about yesterday with you know some of the lads that have been watching my blog and some of the fans around me, Chris Sterling back at the club in January. I wouldn't say it's impossible, because frankly we do need a second recognised goal scorer. And personally I prefer to have an experienced big guy. I'm not going to deny that. Well, a big guy can win stuff in the air, then Kenny Miller can sort things out on the ground. But if we can't have that, why not Chris Sterling? You know, at the end of the day, he's going to score considerably more goals than either Joe Cardle, Lewis Mansell, Alex Jones. He's going to outscore any of those players. He loves the club. Ian McCall bought him at Ayr. There's no reason why he wouldn't come back. He doesn't get regular games for them. You know, he's a sort of bit part player, so why not? So I'm not happy about things today. It's not the end of the world. Get things sorted before the next game. But seriously, if these losses start to pile up, we are bottom. You know, whatever way you look at it, we're bottom. And we're there for a reason. And, you know, in a few weeks' time, Ian McCall will have to take a degree of responsibility for that. So we'll just see what happens. You know, fingers crossed, next game, things might change. Here's hoping. Anyway, always love your comments. Say Chris Doolin and other things. Much appreciated. So, you know, keep following the Jags. I will.